Hello everybody and welcome to Evolution Power Tools. My name is Lee and I work here in the design team. We're in a workshop at our head office in Sheffield, England, and today I've got with me our family of multi-material cutting sliding miter saws, starting with the 7 1/4 inch R185 SMS Plus, that's for 185 millimeters, to the 10 incher R255 SMS Plus and our flagship 10 inch double bevel, the R255 SMS DB Plus. Now the purpose of today's video is to guide you through some handy tips to get the best performance, the best bang for the buck, and the best blade life when you're using your Evolution tungsten carbide tip multi-material cutting blades. Now these blades will cut wood all day long, but when you're cutting with mild steel, there's a few factors that come into play which will enable you to extend the blade life of your blades. So starting off with the position you place your workpiece onto the saw, to how you clamp the workpiece, and also how you bring the blade into the workpiece, the metal that you're cutting, all these things will impact the life of the blade and of course the quality of your cut. So firstly, the Evolution multi-material blades are rated to cut mild steel. If you're unsure, check first with your metal supplier. For galvanized or bright steel, it's recommended that you use one of the steel-specific Evolution blades. For stainless steel, take a look at the Evolution stainless capable blade, which is rated to cut 302, 303, or 304 stainless steel. Again, you need to check the grade first with your supplier to make sure you have the optimum blade for the stock you're trying to cut. So, with those disclaimers out of the way, let's dive in. Okay, so for cutting steel, we're going to go through a bunch of popular cuts with a bunch of popular stock. Man, this is an intimidating piece of steel. This is, what, 3 inch by 3 inch square tube? Big box section. That's a 1/4 inch thick. This is really, really serious piece of steel. This is thicker than a lot of people are going to cut, but it's going to make a good demo. This is hardcore. Okay, so for a flat piece like this, again, we'll cut some round pipe, we'll cut some angle, we'll cut some Unistrut. But this big piece of box section, for what we're doing here, put this flat on the saw right this, put it against the fence, and you get a handy top clamp with this saw. You can just press this button, drop that in, tilt it. It's screwed in here. Give it a good few turns, clamp it down good. That's not wobbling. If this starts wobbling around, it's going to vibrate. That's going to destroy your teeth. Now what's nice is this base plate here is very versatile shape. You can see it's got some angles on it. So this is holding this flat piece really nicely. This shape of base plate will also hold round tubing and square tubing and angle. It's a very versatile piece. I'll show you some more about that. To get the most life out of your saw blades, out of your saw teeth, you want to cut these teeth, the CCT teeth, you want them going in on the downstroke at a bit of an angle. If these are smashing flat into a flat surface, it's a lot more hard on the teeth. They won't last as long. So you're not going to chop into the top and hit this flat in the top. You're not going to hit this here. It's going to be cutting on the upstroke. You want to cut on the downstroke and hit the corner. So I'll pull the saw back a bit. It's a sliding saw, and we'll just start cutting down like this. A soft start. And just let the blade do the work. There you go. No burrs, cool to the touch. It's like magic. Okay, so we've just seen that big heavy piece of box section cut. That was all fine. The lessons from that is that you want to start in the corner and have the teeth enter on the downstroke. So up next we've got angle iron, a very popular stock. I'm sure raging debates about how the best way to clamp it is. So angle iron, it's got these flat sides. What a lot of people will do is they'll just put it flat on the saw like this, up against the fence and down there. I mean, that works, it's flat and flat, and the saw will cut it. But now, your teeth going into these flat edges, this is the biggest impact possible. This is going to wear your blade life out a lot faster if you cut it in this orientation. So, for the best bang for the buck, for the most cuts per blade, this is how you do it. You clamp this always in the pyramid sort of orientation, okay? This is the best way for blade life. Because this way, you're starting on the peak, on the corner, and your saw blade is cutting in on the downstroke. So you've got the optimum approach into the blade. This is going to get you the cleanest cut and the most blade life. So we'll clamp it down. I'd like to draw your attention to the Evolution clamp here. It's got this very versatile form. You can see it's got these angles formed into it. This is nice because this will engage with the corner. You don't want this vibrating because this is going to affect your blade life. Now, here's an old Evolution clamp. You can see it's got this flat round plate here. Now this is fine if you're clamping a piece of wood or something flat, but it ain't gonna cut it on these angles. So this is one of the advantages to the Evolution saws. It's a subtle thing a lot of people might not notice. But this clamp-based plate gives you a lot of options. So now that we've got this in place, it's not wobbling around. we'll just make a cut. There it is, cool to the touch, nice and flat. This is ready to use. So you clamp an angle iron, you clamp it in the pyramid orientation. So you're starting on the corner with the teeth going in. That's how you do it. And we're back with round pipe. Okay, we saw some box section, we saw some angle iron. This is how you do round tube. Let me tell you, this is a big thick piece too. It was 3.5 inch. This is 1/4 inch thick. It's like 5 millimeters. This is some serious heavy pipe. What a good demo. So with round pipe, there's nothing much you can do. You just basically put it on the saw and get it clamped. Now this Evolution versatile base plate is quite helpful because we just turn it this way. This form just hugs really nicely on here. Screw it down good and tight so it doesn't wiggle around, and you're ready to go. When you bring your saw down, it's always going to be cutting on the downstroke, and there's no flat sides to beat your teeth up. This is simple. We'll put it on here right now. Okay, so we pick this up. It's a nice cut, cool to the touch. That's all right. You just get this clamped nicely here. It's cut straight through. This is box section. This is like 5 inches by 3 inches by thick. I mean, I'm 6'4". This is a big piece of steel. So we'll show you how to cut through here and get the most out of your blade life. We'll just drop this onto the saw. We'll put the flat part down the widest way. Let's have a look here. This is like some kind of cartoon. Anyway, this will work. This saw cut right through it, no problem. We'll put this clamp in. Now, this is a sliding miter saw, which is so awesome. You get all the advantages of sliding. So remember the lessons we're going to learn, right? Start on the corner and have your teeth cutting on the downstroke. Here's how it's going to work with a big piece of box section like this, okay? We'll pull the saw out. We start from above and we go in to this corner. We'll start on this corner here. We'll cut downward at a diagonal. We use the luxury of our saw's sliding action to come sliding through here. And then when we get to the top, if we don't want to beat our teeth up, we can just reposition the saw. That's what's so awesome about these Evolution sliding miter saws. And then we come down from the top. So we're cutting in on the downstroke and starting at an angle. It's going to work like this. Let's see how it goes. Okay, that was easy. Using the advantage of the sliding miter saw, we can just reposition ourselves along the way. Look at that, that's cool to the touch. If you're using one of those old-fashioned abrasive saws, this would be burning hot with sharp burrs. This is easy. What a great saw. No problem, we can do this all day. Up next is a broad piece of flat bar. This is 4 inches across by 1/4 inch. This is a substantial piece of metal. Real easy. What we'll do is we'll just put this on the saw in the flat way here. Clamp it down. Screw it down good and tight so it doesn't chatter around. You got that versatile clamp getting a good bite on here. Yeah, that's okay. Now what a lot of people do is just chop straight down on here. And look at this, your teeth are starting in the middle of this flat surface. This is not an effective way to cut. You're going to beat your teeth up and you'll cut through it, but you're not going to get that many cuts per blade. Now, if you want to get more cuts for your blade, here's what you do. The rule is always start on a corner with your teeth cutting down into the stroke here. And that's it. So using the advantages of this Evolution sliding miter saw, pull your saw back, aim for the corner, cut through, and then slide forward. Easy, cool to the touch, nice and clean, nice and flat. This is an excellent saw. This is how you cut that material. Okay, up next on our metal menu is this C-stud. People use this for structural work and building and framing and stuff. So anyway, this is a thin steel channel. It can wobble in this direction. So for clamping, what we'll do is this. We'll put this down with the flat side on the saw. We'll break out a 2x4. We'll use this wood as a sacrificial kind of cutting block. So this will secure our workpiece. We'll put it on the saw here, clamp it down. We'll screw it in good and tight. That's not going anywhere. That's important. You want to get this fixed in place. Now what we'll do here is we'll use the advantages of this sliding miter saw to make the ideal cut. We'll start off cutting vertical. We'll cut through the walls here, and then we can back the saw up and approach from this direction and cut through the floors. And this way, we have the gentlest cuts for those tungsten teeth, and you'll make the cleanest cut and you'll get the most cuts per blade if you do this, because this is thin. We don't want that chattering. So here's our workpiece. This piece of wood has helped. This is not distorted or tweaked out of place or vibrated. This block does a nice thing, but this is a nice flat cut. Cool to the touch, what a great edge. Next on the menu is this Unistrut. This is thick channel. People use this for structural stuff and also for electrical trunking and stuff. Anyway, big piece of steel. This kind of channel is too narrow to put a block in like you saw before, so what we'll do is this, right? We'll put this on the saw here. We have it so we got a flat spot on the top to clamp against. Get it down good and tight so it doesn't move around. And then we use the advantages of this sliding miter saw kind of thing to go through. The rule is always what? We start on the corner and we're cutting on the downstroke. So what we'll do is we'll pull the saw out, we'll go in, we'll start on that corner, and when it comes to the wall on the other side, if you want, you can manipulate it as you cut so that you're always kind of going in on the downstroke and moving it forward. This is the great advantage of these sliding miter saws for cutting steel. We'll just line this up, pull it back, start on the corner. Like butter, cool to the touch, nice and flat and smooth. That's why these saws are great. If you cut in, starting on the corner, you're gonna get the best life out of your blade. So if you're dealing with the big I-beam, we don't recommend that you cut that on this saw. Instead, we recommend that you consider our 14-inch and 15-inch chop saws for the heavy-duty stock like this. They have the large base, the big clamping vise, and those saws are well equipped to handle those big I-beams. We have this whole family of steel cutting saws, and we have the right one for the kind of stock you want to cut. So, when cut in the correct position and clamped securely on the saw, cutting mild steel stock with these multi-material tungsten carbide blades on these miter saws will give you both a cleaner and a quicker cut than any of the traditional abrasive saws, and you'll get a much longer blade life too. The cost aspect is also worth considering because those abrasive discs continually reduce in size and they wear out really quickly. You have to change them more often, and that's not a problem with these saws and these blades. You're cutting without all those nasty fumes, the showers of debris, the blast of sparks. You don't need any of those hot work permits as well. I hope these tips have proven useful for undertaking all your metalworking cuts, and these give you the extra blade life that you need from your blades when you're cutting with your miter saws. So that's it for me today. I appreciate you taking the time to watch.